The following program, offered by Fox 19, includes lawyers licensed in Kentucky. For those lawyers to maintain compliance with the Kentucky Bar Association requirements, the phrase, "This is an advertisement," must appear on the screen. Moore Law is underwritten in the public interest by the Moore Law Firm, a legal professional association. This is Moore Law on Fox 19.
Good morning and welcome to Moore Law. Today we're talking about what to do if you find yourself fighting your insurance company. Insurance companies have access to top attorneys when they're determining how to settle a claim. If you feel your insurer is not playing fair, it might be time to seek some legal advice of your own. Has your insurer encouraged you to sign a quick settlement for your accident claim? Has your legitimate claim been delayed or denied? A lot of questions out there. We already have some calls, but before we go to the phones, you can call 421-4691 if you have a question. And let's take a look now at what we have on the docket over the next couple of weeks. We will have bankruptcy next week, what to do if your kids are in trouble the following week, and all about injuries the week after that. With me today and every Monday, our host attorney, Don Moore. Good morning. How was your weekend?
It was absolutely great. How about yours?
Mine was good, but you said you didn't eat any of the Peeps or the jelly beans.
I tried to stay away from the Peeps and the jelly beans. I'm supposed to, but I have some grandkids, and they enjoyed both.
Well, I can't have them in my house, or I will eat them all. But, you know, Don, it's interesting that you used to work for the insurance companies, not any longer, but you have some inside story, I'm sure.
Yeah, I sure did. I put myself through law school working as an insurance claims adjuster, and then after that, we spent both myself and my father, my uncle, grandfather represented insurance companies for years. We don't do that anymore. We only represent people who have been injured. But I've got the experience, or I guess I've had the good fortune to have insurance company training, so I know how they work. Ordinarily today we would have a guest.
There's usually somebody on my right.
I know there is. I know there is. And the person we had scheduled today wasn't able to make it. Something came up. So we're going to handle this on our own today.
Unfortunately, as you said, you've had many years of experience on that side.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, and something I want to talk to you about briefly and talk to everyone about actually is the fights that you get in with an insurance company when you have, say, just a simple car wreck where there's a serious injury involved. The first fight is going to be with your medical carrier, because the medical carrier is the one that pays those bills right in the very beginning. The thing they're going to try and do is they're going to try and assert their rights ahead of yours against the at-fault party's insurance. They try and get to that coverage first because they want their money back. If they pay a lot for medical bills, they're going to try and put themselves ahead of you, and unfortunately the law is on their side. That's fight number one. Fight number two, you're going to have a fight with the at-fault driver's insurance, because you're going to fight with them about whether or not there's liability. Is it their driver's fault or not? That's one. And two, if it is their driver's fault, then the next issue is what's the fair value of your claim. That's always up to dispute. Three, you're going to have a fight with your own insurance company if they become involved in it. There's medical payments coverage, and there's also uninsured or underinsured coverage. Those are things that you're going to have to fight with your insurance company, because basically they have people who work full-time just to pay, basically their full-time job. Their education has been on how to minimize the amount they pay for the insurance company. And then fourth, you're going to fight with the people about what your car is worth and how to get it repaired, whether you have to use aftermarket parts or things like that.
You know, you've been in this business for many years. For somebody like me, I would think if I was in an accident and it was somebody else's fault, that it would just be taken care of. But that's absolutely not true.
Unfortunately, it really isn't. Okay. And basically, there's full-time professionals whose job it is to pay as little as they can pay.
That kind of leaves me in trouble, I'm sure. Right now, let's check in with Mike in Fort Mitchell. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. And I have a question about my claim. I got the car thing out of the way and the my personal medical insurance thing out of the way. But the thing is, their insurance company, I feel that they're lowballing me. I was involved into a T-bone accident where their client T-boned my car. I was off of work for about 4 days, and I mean I got minimum injuries, but it's like my car almost flipped and broke my rear, my rear and front passenger side axle out and everything.
Hey, Mike, let me just ask you,
Yeah.
did your case involve a serious injury?
No, I was taken to the hospital,
Okay.
and I was released by the ER.
But so you think that they're just not offering you what you think is fair?
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, you have, frankly, you have the type of injury that insurance companies will sometimes target to pay a very low amount on. And that's just, that's the way it is. They sometimes call them list low impact soft tissue cases or missed a mild impact soft tissue case. And they will lowball those, and unfortunately you just have to kind of deal with it. You can talk to a lawyer. Frankly, there's every personal injury lawyer in the greater Cincinnati, northern Kentucky, southern Indiana area, all of them will work on a contingency fee basis, which means basically you call them, they don't charge you anything to talk to you initially, and then you're going to have an opportunity to get basically some guidance as to whether you need a lawyer. Maybe what they're offering is lowball, but you may not be able to do any better. So you just need some help evaluating it.
Mike, we hope that that works out for you. And next we have Kenny in Cincinnati. Kenny?
Accident a year ago, and the people who was at fault, I got paid for that. But now I went through like three back procedures, and it's not really. I mean, well, it is kind of serious because my doctor wanted to do surgery on me. But anyway, I'm trying to go out there now, my insurance company for my med, and the people who was at fault, their insurance company didn't have only a certain amount of
The
claim
coverage?
that it had. Excuse me?
That they only had a certain amount of claims that they would pay?
Right, exactly. I mean, the person minimum was only, it was only a minimum, so it wasn't enough to really cover my meds. So now I'm going out to my insurance company who can cover my meds, and it seems like they don't want to pay me for it. It's taking so long to try to pay me. I was wondering if there's any way I can get them to speed this up.
Is that, I mean, you've mentioned before that that was common, that sometimes it's a delay tactic. It's just if we put this off and put it off?
Well, a couple of things. Kenny, if I understand, you've already resolved things with the other company because they had minimum limits, and the value of your case was actually worth more than the minimum limits. Was this person an Ohio insured? Like, did they just have $12,500 in limits?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Kenny, you might be interested to know, sad for you at this point, and of course a lot of other people, Ohio is actually number 50th in the whole nation. That amount is a 1977 statute that says minimum is $12,500. We haven't changed it yet. There's a bill right now before the legislature to bring it up, so it's more like Kentucky and the other states, but right now we're dead last in the country as far as minimum limits. So let's go back to your case a little bit. If you signed a release, I hope that you reserved rights against your own company, because if you didn't, you might have trouble collecting. That's something that you have to be very careful about. Once you sign a release, Deb, that can be the end of your case against both companies. Kenny, if you have reserved those rights and you're making a claim against your company now and they're working with you, then you're going to have to evaluate your case. You've got 2 years from the time of the wreck. If it's an Ohio wreck, you've got 2 years to either settle or sue. Don't let that time go by. As far as your specific evaluation, that's something you're going to have to base on your medical bills, and probably should get some help on it.
Okay, now Don, I can't do anything about another driver and what kind of coverage they have. So what should I do? I mean, you mentioned the minimum is $12,500, but what should I have?
Well, this is a really, really big deal, Deb, and people go along and they think they're going to save money by having a low limit of underinsured or uninsured coverage. $12,500 is not enough to take care of much of a claim at all as far as injuries go. You can eat that up in an emergency room just like that. So the thing you do is you carry uninsured or underinsured motorist protection, and you make sure it's healthy. My suggestion is minimum $100,000. That sounds like a lot. It's cheap. For a few bucks, for a few bucks a month, you can have coverage of at least $100,000, which means you're covered from anybody who hits you that's either their fault and they don't have any coverage, or they don't have enough coverage. You're covered minimum of $100,000.
Worth it, just peace of mind, I suppose.
It's protection for you, and it's protection for your family.
Okay, Great. Next up we have Judy in Wilmington. Judy, go ahead.
Yes, my question is, we had some roof problems on our property a few years back. Had an adjuster come out, and the adjuster assumed that we needed to do only repairs on our roof, even though there were several problems. My question is, my insurance company says I am paying a premium on replacement value. Now, how can an insurance company say you pay premium on replacement value, but yet give you finances through repair, only do the repairs? I would like to hang up and listen to the answer.
Okay. Judy, that's great. Listen, when you buy replacement cost coverage, it doesn't mean they have to replace something that's damaged. What it does mean is that if it's damaged beyond reasonable repair, then they have to replace it, and they have to replace it at the cost of replacement as opposed to depreciating it. So let me tell you what that means. I've got a 10-year-old roof. Let's say I expect my roof to last 20 years. Half of it blows off. It's clear it's got to be replaced. That's the only way to deal with the situation. If they gave me an ACV, or an actual cash value rating, that means that they would figure the value. It costs, let's say, $10,000 to replace the roof. I've got 10 years out of it. It's half used up. They're going to pay $5,000 of the $10,000 it costs to replace it. That's depreciated. That's not how most homeowners coverage works. The way most homeowners coverage works is they pay replacement costs. If the whole thing's got to be replaced, they pay the full cost of replacement. But if there's only a few shingles missing, that's all they got to replace is the few shingles. And sometimes you get into issues about whether it matches or not, and they may have to cover more than a few shingles to make it match. But they generally, for a few shingles, they don't have to replace a whole roof. I hope that helps.
And that is all the time we have before the commercial break, but we will be right back with some more calls. If you have an issue with your insurance company, give us a call at 513-421-4691. We'll be right back.